Hello and welcome to week 3 of Epigenetic Healing Cycles. Your DNA is not your destiny. All right, this week we are going to do our first healing cycle. We're going to do the cycle of resilience. But first, let me say I hope you did some practice with your sway method. Feeling pretty confident about that. Maybe you checked some supplements, maybe you checked some food before you ate it to see if you went backwards or forwards, and maybe you've had second thoughts about eating that piece of pie, I don't know. And maybe you were watching TV and saw some of your favorite politicians in an ad, and maybe you checked to see what happened. Did you go backwards or forwards as you watched them? So this is all kind of fun to try out in various different parts of your life, keeping in mind, of course, that we can still use our cognitive ability for many decisions that we make. That's what God gave us our prefrontal cortex for. All right, so this week, resilience cycle. Let's take a look at that as I share screen. So turn to page 11. At the top, it will say taking control of your epigenetic modulation using K-Power's 5 epigenetic healing cycles. And this talks about the balancing process. First off, you use the self-testing method that we learned about last week on page 13. I'm going to move this up a little bit. Pre-evaluation. Establish the issue, the stressor, or the situation with a whole body test backwards. Now keep in mind, if it is a stressor, then you're going to be repelled away from it. So that's why you go backwards. So you're just going to say the issue, and if you go backwards, then that's probably a pretty good thing for you to work on. If you go forwards, no stress. So you need to either tweak that goal or find another goal completely. And you can ask your body that if you like. But meanwhile, after you establish the thing that you want new and different in your life, then you will click if the current issue is also related to a common universal fear, job stress, or relationship issue. And we did that a little bit last week, if you remember, and we'll go ahead and we'll do that again today. And that's on page 12. And that's where you have hopefully put a tab there so that you can refer back to that page often. Then, and this is, like I say, this is general instructions. You evaluate, you find which of the 5 epigenetic cycles to use first. Now for us, we're only going to learn one today, and we'll learn one next week and one the week after that. So it's a little bit different while you're learning this whole process. So, but if you had already learned all of them, like on our last balance, you're going to say, which is it? We're going to say resilience cycle, see what happens. If you go forward after just saying resilience, not asking a question, because that's a totally different ballgame. Just say resilience, you go forward, you're good with resilience. You say Vesuvius, you go forward, you're good with Vesuvius. And like that. Let's say you said resilience and you go backwards. Well, that's perfect for what we want to learn today. So you've got the stressor that makes you repelled, and resilience, you go backwards, so you need resilience. Another way you can tell if you get mixed up, not knowing if you are looking for a forward or backwards, you're looking for one and the rest of them will go the other direction. So don't go through all 5, but if you go through 3 and 2 of them are one way and 1 is the other way, then that's the one you're looking for, is that 1. Okay, so we find it's resilience. And then we find which of the 4 balancing options to use first. And that's from column B, which, well, is not over there yet. So let's talk about these balancing options. And guess what? It's really easy because each option is the same for each healing cycle. So method A is called first aid, the time of day option. And this is the easiest one, and this is the one we're learning today, so that would be really good. And this one, the details of it is under the diagram for each cycle. And we'll get to that in a minute. I'll show you on the Resiliency Leap page. And method B is with meridian emotions. And you think of the problem as you do first the CV. We're not going to talk about that. We're just going to. Method C is with the 5-element emotions, or method D. So there's 4 kinds of balancing that are choices, and we're going to do what our body likes best, except for today we're going to do method A because we're learning that. Okay, so notice that each one of these, you've got the balance. Okay, under the balance, 1, do the appropriate balance. Method A, B, C, or D. And then under number 1, here's method A, method B, method C, method D. It goes on, and then it comes up here, a little bit more about method D. And then, what does it say? 2. So, after you figured out the method, all of those things have to do with the 4 different methods. Now it says 2. So, you figure out the method, and then you do the method, and then you do 2. So forget all the other things. You only need to do A, B, C, or D. And in our case today, we're just doing A. Then you go to 2. 2 says, check if more cycles need to be done. It is not uncommon to need more than 1 cycle, like Vesuvius, followed by resilience. And if your body says yes, which is a forward lean, check which cycle. Like, is it resilience? Say it is resilience, or say it is Vesuvius. Then now you've got to check again for method. A, B, C, D. And there we go. We've already done 3. And then you check for changes. So now you're thinking about the stress again, or if you have a goal statement, you're going to say the goal statement and see what happens. Do you go forward, which means it no longer produces a stress inside your body? Do you stay upright, which means it's okay now? It's not like really fine, but it's okay. Or are you still going back, in which case you need to do some more work? And if that's the case, we kind of go back to the drawing board. Maybe if it's a point that you were rubbing, maybe you weren't rubbing hard enough, maybe you weren't rubbing long enough, or if it was a point on the head, maybe you weren't holding light enough or long enough. That sometimes is the case. We get in a hurry sometimes. Okay. All right. So now, after you've checked, say that it's all good, go forward thinking about the stressor, and then check the emotion if there was any emotion. Now, in method A, there's no emotion, so we won't do any emotion for this one. Then you check for homework. This is where it gets creative. So you ask your body what needs to be added, or does something need to be added? Now, this is a question. So now it's different. It's different. You're asking a question. So you're looking for a yes, forward, or you're looking for a no, backwards. So does something need to be added? No. Does something need to be deleted? Yes. Okay. So then you say, down here it says, like, in the things you think, say, feel, or do, what you eat, avoid, listen to, or what you ponder in your heart. So you go through those things. Okay, something needs to be deleted. Something I think needs to be deleted? No. Something I say? Yes. Oh, something I say. Okay. So then you have to think, okay, I'm a little bit grumpy in the morning when my husband can't hear me because he doesn't have his hearing aids on. So I say impatient things to him. So, and say, that's it. And your body says, yes. And they say, okay, note to self, don't do that anymore. Just be loving. And so you go through the process like that. And I'll show you in a minute. Okay, and then of course you record the awareness gained. And then the tools you will use. Very soon you will learn how to use whole body tests yourself. That's what we're doing. You use whole body testing to learn to feel what your body is saying to you and what you can choose to do to make positive changes. And here it talks about 2 pages for bookmark or tabs, which we've mentioned before, but I think we need to go over it again in case you haven't tabbed it yet. So bookmark page 12. The lists on page 12 of common universal fears, universal men's fears, universal women's fears, common job stresses, and the relationship issues that cause stress will give you extra insight into the situation or issues that is troubling you. Then you need to bookmark page 15. That's the ICPKP 5-element emotion chart used by kinesiopractors and PKPers worldwide. That's me. And that is, like, when I started using that routinely, the power of my balances, the results just grew exponentially. I love using that chart, and you'll love it too. All right, notes. We have included this balancing process on the pages beside each of the 5 epigenetic healing cycles to make it easier for you to do the process. So you don't have to keep coming back to page 11 because this page is essentially on each of the pages dedicated to each of the 5 healing cycles, just like this. You will, however, need to refer back to pages 12 and 15 regularly, so bookmark them now and make life easier for yourself. So if you haven't done that, pause this video, do that, come back, and we'll continue from there. Your teacher will demonstrate each of the 5 healing cycles one at a time. After observing each cycle, you will get to practice it before learning the next one. Only then will you be ready to do the process by allowing the body to decide which healing cycle to use or to use first in a balance. All right, let's do that. Resilience cycle, which is on page 16. So you go there. I'm going to get my book and go there, but in meantime, I'm going to keep it here at 16. Go to page 16. Here we go. And let me just get set up. So here we are on page 16. Resilience cycle. One of 5 energy balancing cycles used to bring balance to body energy. Stress tolerance points, STPs, also known as NEs, which stands for neuro-emotional points. In most kinesiologies, that's what they're called. It seems like sometimes kinesiologists that create these great classes, they like to rename things, but we call them in this class stress, what is it? I'm sorry, stress tolerance points. All right, used to them as neuro-emotional points. Stimulating the stress tolerance points, STPs, helps relieve stress, increase emotional resilience, stress tolerance, the ability to bounce back when overstretched, and helps release buried emotions. These points function as storehouses for unresolved emotions. Firm, not hard stimulation of the STPs assists the release of congested negative emotional energy. The resulting benefit is increased stress tolerance and may be accompanied by an energy boost. Stress tolerance points are not part of the normal anatomy as described in standard anatomical texts. You cannot dissect out an STP. Don't try it. The stress tolerance points are specific acupuncture points on meridians. These bilateral reflexes require very firm stimulation, both sides at once, where possible. When to use these STPs? STPs are likely to be involved when emotional or mental stress is disturbing our equilibrium. We know we are off, and there may be a background problem we are ignoring in the vain hope that it will just go away. When these points are stimulated, they can adjust the qi back to its proper balance of yin and yang. Isn't that great? Contraindications, none. Okay, now we're at the process. Use the self-testing method. Now, I'm just going to check to make sure. Maybe turn this way. Show me a yes. Here we go. Show me a no. So, everything's going good. Establish the issue, the stressor or situation, whole body test backwards because it's stressful. So, this is, the stressor is, I learn and use technology effortlessly for this class. Okay, so that's a bit stressful for me. So that's what we're going to go with. And let's see. So now it says evaluation, find which of the 5 epigenetic cycles to use first. We don't really need to do that. We're just going to go with the resilience. So let's just do that because we don't know the other ones. We don't have any more choices. We've got one choice. So let's use that one choice regardless, okay? Let's just make life easy. Okay, so we're going to go with resilience. And then it says find which of the 4 possible balancing options to use first from column B. Column B is on the right-hand side. And we're only going to learn one, so it says method A. So if we knew all the other ones, we'd do, this kind of testing for that. But keep it simple. We only know A. So A it is. Now here's what's interesting. Looking at column B, do the appropriate balance. Method A, B, C, or D. We're going to do A. Then right after that it says method A, first aid, time of day. This is detailed under the diagram on the next page. Here is the next page. Here is the diagram. here is under the diagram. This is where it talks about method A, how to do it. Now, B, C, and D talks about here. A, here. I don't know why. That's just it. A is down here. Let's look at it. Resilience method A, first aid time of day. Massage firm but not painful situation. Stimulation. Put some stimulation on the situation. A, this STP for central meridian, 30 seconds to 3 minutes. So if it's sore, you might need to do it for 3 minutes because there's a lot of stuff to move out of there. Or if it's a really big goal, big stressor. So 30 seconds to 30 minutes. 30 seconds is kind of a long time. B, do the STP for the governing meridian, 30 seconds. C, the bilateral STPs for the time of day, 30 seconds, 3 minutes. Okay, so that's it. So let's look at the picture, and I'm gonna, let's see, let's go back here. Okay, we're going to look at the picture, the diagram, and we can see that the central is here, the governing is here, right? Here. And guess what? We can do those, we can do two things at a time. We can do those together. So we can rub here in this little notch and rub back here at the same time. Within our heads, our goal, my goal about technology for this class, really, I want it to be sharp, you know? I want people to say, wow, who'd you get to do that? And I say, I did it myself. Crazy. I spent all my money on all these classes. All right. Then it says time of day meridian. Well, what does that mean? Okay, well, let's look on here. It's 7 something. Oh, now we're going to, okay, 5 to 7 p.m. is kidney. And where I live, it's between 7 and 9. So that's circulation sex meridian. And you can see it's right in here, in this arm. Well, these are a little bit hard to do at the same time. So we could, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it separate, just so you can see. Thinking about my goal. Tech is a cinch for me. It's such a breeze. This video in particular is going to be so awesome. 3 different things I got going here. I got my iPhone, I got the desktop, and I've got the monitor. So pretty fancy stuff. I don't know if that's 30 seconds, but I think it's enough for demonstration purposes. All right, isn't that a nice diagram there? Okay, so we're looking under the picture again, and so we massage central, massage governing, the bilateral STPs for the time of day meridian, and then 2. Now we're on 2. Check if more cycles need to be done. Okay, so I can check. Okay, like this. More cycles need to be done. And my body says no. See how that was a statement? and it's a statement like that, more cycles need to be done. No, they don't. More cycles need to be done. Yes, they do. That's how that works. And it's still confusing for me sometimes. So you just have to practice, okay? You have 45 years, maybe it'll happen like me. I don't know. Okay. So no, I don't need to do any more cycles. Besides, I only know resilience right now. So we don't get to do any more. It's not uncommon to have to do more, but we're not going to do more. And if it's yes, check which cycle. So we would check which cycle. We're not going to do that. Checking the changes. Test forward or upright over the issue or the stress. Okay, so my issue or stress is, and maybe I should have written this down. I use technology to build this class with ease. Oh, and I'm going forward. Excellent. So that's what we want. It's no longer a stressor. And I forgot to do a common universal fear, but remember I did that last week, and that was, I think, fear of failure. Let me just check for sure. I'll remember. Fear of the unknown. Okay. So, fear of the unknown. So that doesn't stress me. So that's good. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't go through that again this time. But we'll do it again next week. I'll talk to you about it. Okay, so here we are. Now, homework or home play, I like to say. Home play. Check what needs to be, added. Something needs to be added. Yes. Okay. In the things I think? No. Things I say? No. Things I feel? No. Things I do? No. What I eat? No. Something to avoid? No. Things I listen to? Ooh. What I ponder in my heart? Okay. Two things showed up to add. Something to listen to and something I ponder in my heart. Okay. Listen to more music? Yes. Fun music? Yes. Oh, I know. Okay. I listen. Linda, I listened to Despacito today on my walk to get me going on my walk. And every time I hear Despacito, I think of you and how you just nailed it for the Brain Gym conference we did. That was awesome. So fun music. Listen to more fun music. I agree. And then things I ponder in my heart. Yes. I need to ponder more peace that passes all understanding. Yeah. Okay. Anything else I need to add? No. Okay. But I still have delete. Okay. I need to delete something. Yes, I do. Okay, then I go through the list. Something that I think? No. Something that I say? No. Something I feel? No. Something I do? No. Something I eat? No. Something I avoid? No. Something I listen to? Oh, that's interesting. And what I ponder in my heart. Oh, so in place of the music and peace that passes all understanding, those two things are going to replace something else that I listen to and ponder in my heart. Okay. Listen to the... I need to delete listening to so much news. Yes. Okay. Okay. So how much news is appropriate? 1 hour a day. 1.5 hours a day. 1.25 hours a day. 1.25 hours a day of news is appropriate for me. Okay. Things I ponder in my heart. I need to not ponder the mess that our society is in. Yes. Anything else? No. Anything else I need to delete from pondering in my heart? No. Okay. So if I had time, I would write those down right now. I'm going to, though, when we get done with this recording, so that and it says record the awareness gained, but I'm not going to make you watch me record the awareness gained, but I surely will do that because that's important. And that's the balance. Now, I am going to go back to the page 12, where the universal fears, jobs, stresses, and relationship issues are. I forgot to do that. Okay, so fear is the antithesis of love. It is often expressed as procrastination or a lack of self-confidence. Fear is the base emotion from which comes hate, envy, anxiety, depression, prejudice, dread, paranoia, shame, and other negative emotions. I'm gonna bring this to 12. If we can see it, I don't know. Here we go. And I'm going to go by categories, right? And this, I'm going to just kind of fake this because I'm done. And I did this part last week, but just as a review for categories. I just state, I'm not asking a question, I'm just stating the 12 most common universal fears. And I would go back because that's what I did last time. Okay? Then I went the 12 universal fears among men. And that's fine. But if I said, is it, or is the 10 universal fears among men, I might say no, and then that's fine. But I'm just stating it. 10 universal fears among women. No stress there. Career and work stresses. No stress there. 8 most common job stresses. No stress there. 25 most common relationship issues. No stress there. Okay. So there's that. One more thing tonight before I let you go. And then we're finished. This is the epigenetic healing cycle infographic that I made for you. This did not come from the course. This came from me struggling to understand how all of these pieces fit together when I first learned it. So I wanted to help you learn it. So here we go. Okay, so as you can see, and this is kind of a counterclockwise. I wasn't thinking very clearly. I'm sure I was switched when I created this. Actually, I designed it and sent it to Fiverr, and somebody at Fiverr did it, made it look nice. So resilience, which we learned today, stress tolerance points, STPs, firm, or they call them the neuro-emotional points, pages 16 and 17. So everything you wanted to know about the resilience cycle, but were afraid to ask. Okay, so that's the first one. And look here, in the middle, we've got method A, method B, method C, method D. Then you go down to what we're going to be learning next week, the Vesuvius cycle, which is tension relief valves, TRVs, or HSIs in most kinesiologies. Firm pressure, pages 18 and 19. What do? You check out the method A, B, C, or D. And here's the next one, self-soothing, methods A, B, C, or D. Same process. The methods are the same processes. The points that you rub and the emotions that go with them, resilience doesn't have one, but we'll get to that next week. The emotions, where you get the emotions, etc. What you do with the emotions, that's different. The points are different. But the methods, method B is always method B, method C is always method C, method D is always method D. In any of these cycles here, isn't that great? Lymphatic flush, any of those same cycles or methods. And finally, the Chi meridian, meridian tracing, light touch or above the body is pages 24 and to 27. Those in the new, they have better diagrams of the meridians in the newer books. Down here, self-soothing. This is the other one that has light touching on the head, calming and soothing reflexes, or neurovascular holding points, light touch. I think I skipped that. But my point here is 5 cycles, 4 methods, same process, each method, different emotion, different points, same process. Same wheel that you use with the meridians, each go around the meridian wheel. It's a beautiful thing. And again, you know, if we piggyback this and what we learn from people like Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden and others, that's pretty powerful to have this concrete physical work with the science that you know you learned in the slideshow, and then also with the extra thing. It sounds like most people have Joe Dispenza's book. People won't know what hit the bookstores there. Anyway, this is going to be a ride, and I think the more vulnerable you can be when you're doing these balances on yourself, the more powerful and the better results you'll get, so that you can make changes that you've always wanted to change in yourself. Okay? All right, take care, and I will see you next week.